We're gonna give you the best training split to increase your speed, and we're gonna start right now. What exercise other than single leg squat is going to train the absolute strength and the force production that's going to be relevant for running speed? We can use a safety squat bar to execute a single leg squat. Now, single leg squats are absolutely phenomenal for speed development. And so if we're going to do that single leg squat and we throw in some type of variation like the safety squat bar, we're going to use the garage strength contrast method. We're gonna do a type of reflexive exercise after we crush ourselves with the safety squat bar. So the first thing we're gonna do is target that absolute strength with the single leg squat with the safety squat bar. Okay, so we're gonna get here. 3 each side, okay? And we wanna really think about a little bit of that forward lean, which is why I love the safety squat bar. It's a little bit higher, it pulls you a little bit more forward. You're gonna feel that in your back. It's gonna help develop that dynamic trunk control. If you don't have access to a safety squat bar, it's okay to just use dumbbells or just use a standard barbell. This is where we're gonna hit 5 sets of 3 each leg or 5 sets of 5 each leg. We wanna develop that absolute strength. We wanna focus on recruiting as much as possible. The second thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna go to garagestrength.com and you're gonna pick up that single leg squat stand, roller, and pad so you can do these properly and really load these up. And then that third thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna do the garage strength contrast method. That means I'm trying to take a little bit of a breather and we're gonna do that reflexive work. We wanna do things that are gonna transfer really well with speed. Things are gonna transfer really well to running. We wanna target that dynamic trunk control. I'm gonna come down, up, and when we catch in that dumbbell snatch position, we don't want to be falling all over the place. If you have an athlete, or if you are the athlete doing this contrast method and you're falling over, you're missing those snatches, and you're saying, well, it's not the weight, it's my balance. If it's your balance, it's the weight. Decrease the weight. Okay, that's a really important concept. A lot of people, specifically 99% of the time, it's dudes. So we're gonna go both sides here, down, boom. Okay, so for the reflexive portion, we're gonna hit 5 sets of 3 on each side. For the absolute strength portion, we're gonna do 5 sets of 5 on each side. You're gonna rest about a minute from the absolute strength to the reflexive. You're gonna rest about 2 minutes from the reflexive, getting back into that absolute strength. And we're gonna use this to develop that running speed. This is typically gonna be done on that leg power day, and that's gonna play a major role in developing that proper training split. I'm giving away a free Swole shirt to anyone who, 1, comments down below. 2, make sure you have all of your channel notifications on and you subscribe to our channel. And 3, show up to our Tuesday public live to find out if you're getting swole. So when we're training speed, we've got to think through specific lenses. That provides a framework. So we need to look at 1, we have to improve our starting position. 2, we've got to improve our acceleration. 3, we've got to improve that transition, which then leads to max mechanics. And so if we can identify those 4 areas, now we need to use that lens to continuously develop our training. We can then identify what are those specific problem areas for athletes and then improve them with different types of resistance-based training and different types of drills. And then that's gonna take us into the splits. If we look at split-specific training, 1, we want to work on certain aspects of starting strength and acceleration on leg power day. So that's gonna be day 1. Day 2, that's gonna be where we wanna focus on some type of plyometric work, some type of really elastic high speed movements. Then the 3rd specific day will be more resistance-based training. That's gonna be impulse work. That's producing as much force in a designated period of time. That split should be typically 3 days of resistance-based work that has a leg power day, an athlete day, an impulse day, and then we will also be doing speed-based training out on a field or out on a track on opposing days, or if we periodize properly, on the same day. So one of the big factors that we want to focus on as far as resistance-based training is concerned is we want to hammer force production. In running, there's a very, very high degree of peak forces. So we want to find movement patterns that also have extraordinarily high peak forces. And fortunately, we have technical coordination exercises. And we're gonna demonstrate 2 specific movements that you can use to increase your overall running speed. Now, these exercises will be done 1 on that leg power day, so day 1, and then on day 3, the impulse day, if we're only doing a 3-day split. And fortunately, we have an under 25 US national champ, Yvonne Eskett, to actually demonstrate the first exercise. So the first exercise is going to be executed on that leg power day. So if we have an individual who struggles, let's say, coming out of the blocks, or they struggle with that starting speed, they struggle with acceleration, typically we can alleviate those problems by focusing on more power. So this is going to be a low hang clean with a pause, and you can get pretty creative with this. So Yvonne's gonna demonstrate a low hang clean, and we're gonna pause below the knee. And what I'm gonna do, Yvonne, is I'm gonna tell you when we are in that pause, I'm gonna give you that auditory command. So we'll go up, hang, 1, 2, go. Good, get another one. We'll pick this up, hang that, 1, go. Good. So that's the first exercise. Typically, we'll do cleans on that leg power day because we want to develop a little bit more strength and speed at that same time. This is, again, something that you would do for like 5 sets of 2, and we're gonna do this specifically with athletes who struggle coming out of the blocks. They're a little bit slower with that first step. Now, the second exercise, the second technical coordination exercise is going to be a power snatch. I like to do this on impulse day, and I like to use the intent of moving heavy weight as fast as possible. You need to do this with proper technique, with proper form. You need to execute this with a logical mind, but you need to think about ripping the bar and sending it through the ceiling. So Yvonne's gonna demonstrate a power snatch. And again, we can use an auditory command. I'll let him go for a double here without that auditory command. Good. Good, now we'll do one more. I'll get him in that start position. I'll hold him just like really bad officials in the track meet. Go. Good, good. So the main goal here is using technical coordination exercises to train peak forces and to train that starting strength. If we can hone in on power development, force development, attaining those peak forces, that's gonna help us run a bit faster. We're gonna do this on day 1, leg power day, day 3, if we're on a 3-day split, impulse day. So another great way to improve our running speed is to analyze, again, that training split. We're looking at leg power day, we're looking at the athlete day, then we're looking at impulse day. And then we can break that down further into other strength exercises. And if we can use other strength movements that lead through a long range of motion, think about lengthening is strengthening. And if we can load those weights a little bit heavier to a point, remember, someone like Noah Lyles, who's one of the fastest people on the planet, can power clean over 300 pounds. And he only weighs about 180 pounds, so think through that lens. He also has tremendous absolute strength. That helps him with his start, that helps him with his acceleration. And that's gonna take us from, if we're on that leg power day, that's gonna be where we use something like the safety squat bar, single leg squat. Now, if we're on impulse day, and we want to lengthen, and we want to focus on that trunk control, that's gonna take us into this next sweet absolute strength exercise, which is going to be the box squat. And I love to use a box squat for speed for various reasons. 1, we can load it up, and sprinters do tend to have a very strong posterior chain. 2, one thing that we can do is focus on a little bit more eccentric lowering, where we go a little bit slower. But then 3, we can use that auditory command. And then 4, we can even get into unique methods where we start to do things that are unbroken with the auditory command. So it might look like this, nice and controlled, okay? Lengthen, 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 1, 2, and now the coach can say, up. You react fast, out of the blocks. Control, 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 boom, up. Drive that chest up. We wanna project forward when we're coming out of the blocks. We wanna keep the chest up off the box. Now, this is what we would look for if we wanna see something a little bit more unbroken. It might look like this. Up, right back down. Up, right back down. Up, boom. So the big factor here is I would actually use this on that day 3 impulse day if we have a 3-day split for running speed. And just remember, lengthening is strengthening. So one of the big factors around speed-based training is that we have to be able to put out repetitive, high-speed actions. There's a massive value to doing important accessory movements, to training the hypertrophic aspect to generate larger myofibrils in specific muscles. And in this case, we always should be doing an exercise like Nordic hamstring curls. But we want to set this up where we focus on developing 1, hip extension, and 2, that knee flexion and targeting our hamstrings specifically. And we're gonna pair this with a sweet exercise, and we're even gonna analyze a little bit of someone we talked about earlier, Noah Lyles, and issues that he's had in training. And in past videos, we've even discussed research that has shown that when you do Nordics, you are less likely to pull your biceps femoris. Your biceps femoris is your strongest hamstring muscle, and that's gonna be playing a major role in speed development. Okay, so we can focus on a nice controlled eccentric. I'll do a couple here with a little tap and come up. Ooh. Control, boom, back up. I'll do one more. Control, 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 back up. Now I'm gonna try and do this without my hands, okay? Oh, I can feel that already. Here, one more. Try and have a little bit more hip extension like this. I tend to stick that butt back. Now, one of the biggest aspects around athletic-based training, speed-based training, is that we want to focus on cool movements like this. And the reason why they're cool is not because of what they look like, but because of what they can do to your overall training. And that's specific things that we do deep inside of our app, Peak Strength. Inside of Peak Strength, we use exercises like the Nordic curls. We use exercises like this. They heel unsupported split squat, where we want to actually focus on good hip mobility in an unsupported position. And if you remember, I mentioned Noah Lyles. Recently, his biomechanist, Ralph Mann, was talking about how he was having issues with his ankle dropping during the drive phase, during acceleration, coming out of the blocks. Now, one of the ways that you can target something like that, where there might be an issue with his ankle, is trying to improve ankle stiffness through that isometric position. So if we're doing things like the Nordics, and then we're pairing that with something like unsupported split squats, here, we're targeting the quads, we're targeting even that posterior chain, and we're improving ankle stability. So you can hit each side and hold that position and figure out, does your specific athlete or individual struggle, it's hard to talk and balance here, with ankle stiffness on one ankle compared to the other? Okay, and that's exactly what we do inside of Peak Strength. We try to figure out what are your issues based off of your specific sport. We've developed great programming with intelligent design that on the back end then can lay out that program over a 16 to 20 week time frame based off of your peak date. So you can go in, you can select your specific sport, and then use movements like this to help enhance your overall sports performance. Now, we would use these hypertrophy exercises on that leg power day, and inside Peak Strength, we have that leg power day as day 1. Typically in Peak Strength, day 2 would be an upper body power day. Day 3 would be that athlete day that we've talked about. We're gonna get further into that in the future here. But impulse day would be where we would use these specific exercises. So we'll do a sliding Cossack squat. Here, boom, up fast. Here, boom, up fast. Boom. And we want to train both sides, okay? Remember, lengthening is strengthening. And even if we can improve our hip stability, our hip mobility, we can get in better positions coming out of the blocks. We can hold posture a little bit better coming out of the blocks. And that's gonna help us project down the track or out of a cut if we're running a route, or if we're a linebacker, that's gonna help us get forward and have a steeper shin angle. Here, oof, 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 oof. So on that leg power day, you might see split squats, 4 sets of 5 on each leg. You might see the Nordics, 4 sets of 7. On that impulse day, we might do 5 sets of 4 on each leg during the Cossack squats. One final exercise that you will see commonly on that impulse day would be a movement like this, okay? So we would pair the sliding Cossack squats with drop lunges. So it would be here, boom, 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 boom. One more. Boom, boom. And we can do this even with dumbbells, depending upon the phase that we're in. Inside peak strength, we'll lay that out with exposure phase, comprehension phase, ascension phase, summit phase, peaking with realization phase. So we wanna focus on proper periodization and proper exercise selection. Now, we're gonna do that left side. Boom, boom. Two more. Boom, boom. One more. Boom, boom. So we wanna focus on impulse. Drop, absorb, accelerate out of that as quickly as possible, produce as much force in as short of a time frame as possible. You can have easy access to this freak training by going to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store, where you can download Peak Strength and get 7 free days of training. During those 7 free days, you're gonna get 5 free workouts. It's gonna help you develop your impulse and develop that overall power output so you can run faster. Now, Athlete Day, this is gonna be the day that we use the not so secret awesome sauce of plyometrics, okay? So if we look at plyometrics, we're gonna produce an absurd amount of force in a very short period of time, and we wanna train different aspects that lead to greater impulse when we're sprinting. Sprint speed really comes down to impulse. Every time that you ground, how much force can you produce in that short grounding period? Now, Athlete Day might look like this. I'm gonna give you an entire Athlete Day and we're gonna analyze the specific aspects around it that make it so awesome. We're gonna start with PVC pipe walks. We wanna focus on just walking forward, being on an unstable surface, waking our feet up a little bit, and trying to really improve your balance and your stability. You wanna focus on that 5 sets of 15 meters, and then as you get better, you can start to race your friends, you can start to race people that you're in a competition with, that you might be training with. It can get really fun, really creative, and it can improve your overall stability. Now, after you do those PVC pipe walks, a very easy plyometric that you can lead into is gonna be a bilateral movement. And typically the way I like to set up our Athlete Day, and you can see this inside of Peak Strength, is that we wanna do an easier bilateral movement with easier unilateral movements. Now, for today's video, the bilateral movement is gonna be simple pogo jumps. Focus on minimal knee bend. You still need to bend your knees. A little bit of dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. That's gonna look quick, and we're gonna do about 5 sets of 9. For the video, we'll do 9 here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so that's a really, really good, simple bilateral exercise. That's gonna wake you up even further. It's gonna help with that twitchiness. Now, the next movement, you have never seen. You've never seen this anywhere because it doesn't exist anywhere on the internet except for when I've played around with this. And this is a Lynch series. A Lynch series jump. So essentially what we're gonna be doing is a curtsy squat to a side jump. It's hard, but do this slowly, wake it up, 5 sets of 3 to each leg. Remember, we're gonna pair this now with those pogo jumps. So we start with the PVC pipe, we go pogo jumps there. We're gonna pair this with the Lynch series. This is gonna be that unilateral movement. So I'm gonna start here on the corner of this box. I'm gonna plant my foot here. I'm gonna bring this knee down, almost like a curtsy squat, and I'm gonna jump back, okay? So that's what it's gonna look like. Here, boom, boom. And then as you learn this, as you have that adaptive neural coordination, okay, you're gonna get a little bit quicker. So we're gonna go here, boom, boom. 5 sets of 3 each side. Do both of those, pogo jumps, the Lynches, okay? You hit that. The next thing we wanna focus on is gonna be a little bit higher intensity, okay? Now is where we're gonna get into things that will really, really help improve your speed. So we're gonna do a bilateral bound, and we're gonna superset that with something unique you've all seen, but will drastically improve your speed. And remember, leg power day. That's where we're focusing on basically max acceleration, starting strength. The second day will typically be Athlete Day. Third day, impulse day, okay? So this is where we're gonna see a good transfer. We're gonna do double leg bounds here, boom, boom, boom. I just realized I'm still wearing my socks. So you can do 5 sets of 3 jumps. One thing that you can do to make it more complicated is that you can actually measure how far you go on set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4. That's one thing that I've realized now. We have a vertical jump pad. I love using it because the athletes will do hurdle hops or stair jumps, and then they can test themselves in between sets and they take things a little bit more seriously and push themselves a little bit more. So we're gonna take those bilateral jumps, those bounds, now we're gonna superset them with single leg bounds over targets. So we've got these mini hurdles set up. Let's say you have 4 jumps. What you can do is you can be outside on a longer turf or on a field or on the track, and each set you can just lengthen that a little bit, and that's gonna help with that unilateral position, and that's gonna help keep the explosiveness of your right leg in a structural stable position relative to your left leg. So you'll have minimal energy leaks from that mechanical perspective of power output. So we can go left leg, boom, 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 boom. They're too tight for me because I'm explosive. So that's my left leg. Now I'm gonna go to my right leg here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, work through that, 5 triples on each leg. And then we're gonna finish off athlete day here. Usually I like athlete day to end with either a weightlifting movement like a technical coordination or a reflexive movement. So a reflexive movement in this case for speed would be a unique split squat variation. So we're here and you can go boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, boom. Okay, so we wanna go each leg. I'll demonstrate on my other side, because if I don't do the other side for the rest of my day today, I'll be paranoid that I'm weaker on one side compared to the other. So now we'll go here, we'll go 1, 2, 3, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3, boom, boom. And we wanna hold that position. So we start off athlete day, PVC pipe walks. We get into those pogo jumps and the Lynch series. Then we get into the bounds, the single leg bounds, and then we finish with that reflexive work. We take each day, leg power day, athlete day, impulse day. We combine that. You figure out what days you need to be doing your speed work out on the field or out on the track, wherever it is that you're at. Take all this information and apply it today to your overall training. Try some of these exercises. And remember, if you guys need help with your programming, head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. You can download Peak Strength today for 7 free days of access to freak-based training. Because remember, freaks, if you guys want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.